What's up, guys? So we've got an awesome profile today. Who have we got?
Josh Jackson.
Josh Jackson, the legend. And what did you do, bro?
So I came top 16 at the UK Nationals, and I played Brave Despia.
Wow, that's an amazing result, bro. So really good job. So yeah, when you're ready, straight into the profile, man.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly think. I mean, I was playing Despia for a long time. I'll be honest, I didn't think Despia was the best deck for the format and for the tournament. But it was just, I think that had the most theory behind. And I was playing I played like all versions. Obviously, I think when the deck came out initially, it was like Brave Despia was the thing. Then everyone kind of went off the Brave package, went more the gas build, the Patchworks. And what I found with the Patchwork stuff was every time I was losing with it, I was just bricking. And obviously the deck still can't play for an Ash Blossom on Banner Fusion, however much you want to put in. And so I then switched it up to kind of a more no Brave, but just more hand traps, because if they ask the Branded Fusion, I've got kind of like recursion or kind of follow up to stop their thing, and then hopefully if there's a tragedy engrave or something, I can reset it and go off. But then I still found you still lose to Ash Blossom, even if you're only 3 cross out, spawn call by, etc. So the last minute, I think on the Friday night, everyone's telling me to put the Brave in. And I'm really glad I did, because it came up in terms of adding kind of another layer of I guess path for the deck. I mean, if you do get Ash on the Branded Fusion, obviously you've got the protected Griffin firstly, and then the water and the right stuff and the Fateful, they're just Ash baits also, and they put so much pressure down. So it really came in clutch, to be fair. So I'm kind of glad I did put the Brave in. And like I say, if you get debarried or etc., I mean, you still lose Fan Spell, but that is what it is. So I think it's a good choice. I think it was definitely the best version of Despia to play. So yeah, I'll just get straight into the list. Cool. So we've got, obviously, just on DB, you've got Ad Libitum, 3 Jester, 2 Tragedy, and 1 Comedy. Okay. In terms of the ratio, I don't think I'll change it too much, to be honest. It's pretty good for the Despias. Pretty standard also. I think the only thing that you find may differ is 2 Jester versus 3 Jester. But sometimes I always prioritise the branded version over the kind of water engine. Yeah. So, because it's just more powerful, gets you more advantage. And once you've got the Tragedy Engrave, etc., you kind of got your recursion for next turn. So you're fine, really. So I kind of wanted to just maximise Branded Fusion. But I can see arguments for running 2 also. But again, it performed well. And Comedy was a kind of a card that I was a bit iffy about. But again, it did come up, dodging hand traps. Yeah. I did obviously run cross out also. But when you know, so for example, they've milled off the Chaos Ruler, then know I've got Vader in hand, and you haven't got a way to stop it, just send the Comedy, and whatever they've added off Chaos Ruler is dead. Cool. Mainly Veiler, to be fair. Veiler or Nib, I'd say, are the 2 main ones. But what I found, 2 Albers, again, never really needed the 3rd. Yeah, it's pretty standard, I think. 2, you kind of don't want to see it, and to be honest, when you do see it, it's kind of a bit of a brick. If you never wish you have it in hand. But again, you need 2 just in case one gets stopped. And then kind of like the last kind of techie card, I'd say, is obviously Fairy Tale Snow, which I think is probably the best light card. Just banishing stuff, really. I mean, dodging hand traps more so, but more just another layer of interruption when you've got everything going. Obviously, I paid the water package, so 3 Water Enchantress and 1 Wandering Griffin. Again, pretty standard. And then hand traps, which was 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Impermanence, 2 Nibiru, and 1 Veiler. Again, Veiler just for cross out, that's good. But Ash Imperma are kind of the most generic ones. So they kind of hit the most basis and kind of depending on their hand, etc. Kind of MVP, though, fair was Nib. Most people just didn't expect the main deck Nib in Despia. And it caught a lot of people off guard. I did think, though, to be honest, that, I mean, you watch every deck profile and everyone says, everyone runs into Nib. So I thought, people may respect Nib, but they still don't. And it's a card that you just can't respect, really, at the same time, because if your combo doesn't put in a gate before 5 summons, you Nib one at the end of the day. And again, the point Despia, they don't tend to, unless they open the water package, they don't tend to do that. Most times when they were doing it, they would make, obviously, Chaos Ruler, bring back the Yamin with the Deer Note, go into Hulk, summon the Rose and Nib in there, and they don't really have much going for them, really. So that was quite good. So yeah, it was 20 months in total. I don't think I changed too much, to be honest, with the monster count. And then we've got the spells. Obviously, Branded stuff was 3 Fusion, 3 Opening, and 2 Branded in Red.
again, you just want to maximise seeing Brand Fusion because it is the best card. You just want it to resolve at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you resolve, you kind of going towards your game plan. 3-red, I think, was enough. I do like 3-red, to be honest, because it's really good dodging hand traps and kind of playing through boards with Chimera. But I felt sometimes you don't want to brick on red, to be honest, and I think 2 was enough, in all honesty. Didn't feel like I needed a 3rd. And then, obviously, moving on the list, we've got the Cool Bite and the 2 crossouts. Again, you just want your Brand Fusion to go through. You just want every way possible to let it go through.
Yeah.
Crossout, though, was good. I didn't actually use it too much in the mirror match because I didn't actually only play 1 mirror throughout the whole day. But it was good for hitting imperms, veilers, and to be honest, a lot of decks were on the Brave engine, so like just writing just crossouts in the right of the mirror was really good because then they can't get the whole engine set up. So that was quite handy. So it kind of added like another layer of interruption if they didn't see the hand traps. And then obviously we've got the kind of the water package, which is the 3 right of MSAs, 1 Drake back and 1 Fateful game, pretty standard. Nothing to really talk about there. And then the 1 Foolish Burial and the 2 droplets. I think those droplets was okay. It didn't really come up as much as I thought it would, to be honest. And I think it didn't really win me any games or that kind of stuff. I do feel like the Punk board, it is more of like a kind of like a Cypher in a way, but I think it's quite a fragile Cypher, not like the most impressive one.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you've got like the Hulk and the Dag setup, you can still just go Brand Fusion.
Yeah.
And kind of go from there, really. So yeah, I mean, it didn't really come up, but I just wanted another layer if there was any builder board decks to kind of outbreak them. And obviously the Fool's Barrel doubled up as kind of dumping Water Enchantress or dumping Tragedy to get the Aluba and kind of play off from there, really. So that was good.
Yeah, yeah.
And then traps, I mentioned in earlier on with the hand trap bits, and then just the 1 banishment. And again, banishment's really good. Most decks don't play it, don't know why. Probably, in my opinion, one of the second best like branded spells and traps.
Yeah.
Just because if they do out the board, I mean, bringing back either a Despia or a Level High Fusion is good. Bringing back the Mirror, making sure it's obviously summoned. But then most people don't realise you don't have to fuse. I'll talk about this later on in the matchup. You don't have to fuse, obviously, with the monster that you summon. So you can bring back the Jester, for example, fuse off anything else, and then get the Jester for follow-up next turn. Plus, obviously, summons in attack, so you can actually just poke the game with it. Which didn't happen during the tournament, but it has happened in testing loads of times.
Yeah.
Just like I said, the one thing that pure Despia always struggled with was putting damage on board. But with Token, Griffin, that's 4k. With Mirror Jade, which is the most likely monster you can have, that's 7k. So all you need is 1 extra body, and it's game. Wow. It happened so many times where I was just able to 8k because of the right package and going to go from there. It's 43 cards in the main. I did want to try and put pots in, to be honest. I didn't have them for the event, so it was kind of a case of I couldn't really use them, but I don't think I think it was probably a win more card, to be honest. I feel like with the hand traps and with the right stuff, you kind of had enough to stop your opponent and kind of go on from there.
If you were going to put in pots in, would you go up to 45 or would you stay for like always replace something?
To be honest, I'd probably get a drop it.
Okay.
That was the only card that, like, for me, didn't perform well. Because you just want to see consistency.
Yeah.
Maybe go up to 44 at push, but maybe just put in 2 pots, to be honest, because I think the 43 was quite a good ratio and a good number. I didn't really want to go more than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I said, with any deck, I feel like most decks at the moment are playing a tiny bit above 40. Really hard to get like a 40 card deck.
Yeah.
Most decks like 41, 42, 43. So I thought that was fine for the event.
Okay.
So yeah, that'd probably be the one change that I would make, to be honest. But again, it's kind of hindsight, depending on matchups and all that kind of stuff. Moving to the side then. So again, pretty self-explanatory. Electrical Banshee and Zombie World. Just because you want to send it off the Brand Fusion against more kind of the roguey style decks. Matchups that did kind of slide in: Salad, Ignista, Flunder. I think they're the kind of the big 3 ones, really. It's just to make, I mean, most of the decks, apart from Flunder, really, because they contribute something.
Yeah.
The decks can play still through it.
Yeah.
But what it does is make their lines suboptimal. So they have to do kind of awkward things themselves, at which point then you can kind of abuse that by negating the stuff or banishing it with Mirror Jade, which then forces them out to do more kind of stuff that's not towards their game plan. Yeah, so just a change in their game plan, basically.
Yeah, I can definitely agree as an Ignista player, Zombie World is very irritating.
yeah. Good enough, and I'll talk about that. I played against 2 Ignistas, and so I'll go for that at the end. 3-tone Collector, good against Swords, all good against Right. and kind of like water package. To be honest, I actually never played a single sword soul, so it didn't really come up in that sense, and it didn't really come up too much because, I mean, going second against any right deck, I would sometimes side it in, but I'd side it out going first because you want your stuff to go through. So it was kind of a card that did work in theory, and I probably would still play it if I was to play more sword soul. I think it's a good card against that. Then again, most sword soul players, I put a lot of testing against sword soul. Most of them are playing around this card, vessel, chalice, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful with that. The free Cosmic Cyclone, I was on Twin Twister for a long time just because you got really good discard outlets, and you get a lot of advantage from them. But then my main worry throughout the whole day was literally just anti-spell, because the deck does not play through anti-spell. Because even if you do, you set your stuff, but then they all get popped, and you just back behind another turn. With Baron, with access code, and if they can't game you anyway, that is. So I was just more afraid of one for one with the actual anti-spell, to be honest. That was my main worry. And then I don't think there's many things that do transept twice, to be there, that even he probably doesn't hit. Because if you're kind of playing against a more trap deck, they're going to have more than probably two, maybe a field spell, field free back row set. So I felt like evenly then, and I do have run evenly, was kind of just the right call to run.
Makes sense.
And obviously then you have to choose with the evening, I'll talk about it quite quickly, they have to choose with evenly whether they keep their floodgate up or their follow up or their play, for example. So you have to make sure that the anti-spell, if they do decide to keep it up, is the right thing. And that was my main worry, to be honest. Because I feel like anti-spell is going to become more popular, especially in the combo decks too. It's dirty when combo decks play it, because they build the board, then set anti-spell so they don't lose to the Dark Rulers, to the droplets, and that kind of stuff, unless they chain it, of course. But then they've got to still have loads of stuff to go through still. 3D barrier, again, pretty good. It's just a good generic card, really. Good side in. I played one Despia, but obviously if I was worried about them debarring me, cross out would come up, so I'd put in the one just in case. It was just pretty good overall, really. You kind of, like I said, you want to stop them too, and that's probably one of the ways to stop them against the Synchro decks, the Fusion decks. Evenly, I just took the bomb. Good. I didn't really actually resolve evenly for kind of a massive blowout, in all honesty. So I can't really say, but I'd still run it just because I'm so afraid of anti-spell, and I want them to kind of choose between keeping anti-spell or keeping their play or their monster. If they can't keep anti-spell, most decks, in order to kind of recur from that, they have to play a spell and put them back behind, because they wouldn't set their spells, they would keep in hand. So it then puts them under their own anti-spell if they decide to choose it. And then most of the time they would actually get rid of it, and that'd be fine. And obviously there's not many negates in certain decks going around, like Sword Soul obviously doesn't put a negate bar Baron. But I mean, you can bait the Baron out quite easily. So that was quite good. And then Swan Reboot, again, anti-spell, debarrier, the blowouts against this deck. Nothing more much to say about the side deck, to be honest. If there's anything that would change, it's tricky because everything did come up to a degree. There wasn't one card that I wished I really had throughout the event. So I can't really think of anything to change. I mean, again, if I play against more Soul Soul to Flex, for example, would come up more, etc., etc. So I was pretty happy. I tried to kind of cover my bases as much as possible, going first and going second.
Makes sense. And then I guess the extra deck. What was your thoughts behind that?
And then the extra. I'll start off with the branded kind of Despia stuff. I've got 3 Albion, 2 Libellion, 2 Mirror Jade, 1 Titaniclad, and 1 Albertonatus. The 3 Albion definitely comes up just for the grind. Obviously, you can play 2 if you are good at managing your resources, but I just like the extra flexibility. And to be honest, the deck is quite flexible in the extra deck slot, really. I mean, there's nothing like you don't get your standard, but there are quite a few flex spots, and so I thought I'd want to better grind. 2 Libellion in case one gets stopped, so you can keep looping it and shuffling it back. 2 Mirror Jade again in case one gets out, you need to summon another one. Titaniclad mainly to game people. That was really what it's there for. I never really wanted to send it off and then use the Fauna Alba's effects and then fuse off the board. Let's say. But again, never summoned Titaniclad and never summoned Albertonatus at all once. It was just there for Dragon Link, in all honesty, because it's a really good card against them. And obviously, if you do start to run out the engine, but I'll be honest, most decks, if you kind of to the point where you're using Jade and you're going through all the Albions and everything else, you kind of already winning, or you kind of already losing at that point. So, like I said, I never really felt the need to summon the other 2. I'll go over the Despia fusions. So we've got the Masquerade and the Quartus. Most decks, again, we're running on the 2 Masquerade. I feel like the 2 Masquerade, it does win games, but if they have the out for it, you automatically lose.
Yeah.
Because not oppressive. You just got two bodies at that point. They're not burning anything.
Yeah, at least super optimistic mind as well.
Yeah. It was good against +9 again. But the way I kind of built the deck, and I was afraid of mine, what most people were doing was they would discard the Draco back. I would just keep the Draco back in hand.
Yeah.
And I knew that if they were to mine me, round 1 actually, the guy activates Mystic Mine. Activates Prohibition, calls Comic Cyclone, which I actually sided in, and then activates Salesman. I was like, I just bounced the Draco back. So it was a bit ridiculous, but again, if you are afraid of mine, just keep the Draco back because it's an automatic out to it.
Yeah.
Same with Baguska. If you are afraid of Baguska against running forward, just keep the Draco back in hand. So you just don't want to waste the Draco back because it is a way to out the problems, which most people were discarding.
Yeah.
So that was quite good. And then obviously the Croesus, it did come up to fair. Excuse me. 0 attack. Just surviving. And again, kind of gets around the Baron, etc. And obviously floats to destroy the card effect.
Yeah.
But sometimes the Masquerade can be enough. Similar against Ignista going first, and he killed himself because he couldn't play through it.
Yeah.
Because they have to, because of the field spell, etc., etc.
Yeah.
All triggers that activates effects. They take a lot of damage. And then I'd say the more flex spot fusions, obviously the one Chimera, the one Drag Spelia, and the one Starving Venom. Chimera's summoned a few times, but again, Chimera is more of a case of, for me, getting rid of problematic cards, follow up or back row in particular. Because obviously most of the time you can't attack them.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't running Poly. The only way I'd really fuse with it, well, the only way to actually fuse it is Branded in Red.
Yeah.
You know, it can't attack that turn. So it was just a case of kind of outing problematic cards. And if you manage to stick on board, it's a nice free body. Would I ever run the 2? I'll be honest, no. I mean, it did come up in very, very niche grind scenarios when I was testing, but I feel at that point, if you're going through 2 Chimera, I feel like it's getting to the point where you're either super winning or super losing. So for me, I just wanted to have more flexibility because I don't think matches were going that long. It was quite a fast format.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Drag Spelia, again, never summoned once throughout the whole day. Again, the Drag Spelia really comes up, to be honest. I mean, obviously, you've got the Patchwork Engine and the Poly in hand, obviously, with the Poly, the Jade and the Adlib, and you get the Drag Spelia and the Mirror back. Because I wasn't running that, it wasn't a case of making it ever first turn. Unless they would hand trap on the Branded in Red, at which point I can make it. So yeah, it was the card that I kind of wish I made it, to be honest, also. So again, it's a flex spot that you could cut. But I think it is good in theory, and it is good if you can make it, and if you know they're a monster heavy deck, that they can't tribute or kind of dodge on-field effects. That, you know, they're going to gate like for example, unless they've got the quick play and that kind of stuff. So it was good. Starving Venom, I think someone once, and again, it was out to Dynamorphia, which I'll talk about at the end, on matchups. Again, just a good generic card. 2 darks on the field, so you can use just your opponent's monsters, and that's what I did. And again, just I wanted an out to Ignista, the Arrival, and Starving Venom was that. And sometimes against game, and also Psychic and Punisher. Because people don't realise, I mean, quite a few people were making, I think it's Psychic and Punisher, the level 11 synchro.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's not as oppressive as people think. I think when people think it's something, it's like, oh, I doubt this, it's an effective activate effects.
Yeah.
Then you realise, I mean, you literally just attack into it with something, you take 1,000 or 2,000, and you lower life, you just banish it in Mirror Jade.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, that's all you've done. It isn't oppressive, and then even at the start of the battle phase, they gain attack, you just activate Branded in Red, and then you just be over it with Starving Venom. So it wasn't really oppressive for me, and every time it was summoned, I wasn't scared of it at all. And obviously, Mirror Jade's lingering end effect when it's destroyed the battle blows it up, so they can never out the Mirror Jade because they're going to lose the monster. They'll attack over it, but like if you put it in defense, you're not taking any damage anyway. So you've got to be careful of that. So it's just about ways to out stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, so yeah, that was good. And then the one dark, which to be honest, again, this was a big flex spot for me because obviously opening fusion, they lock you into fusions, so you can't summon any links, even if they ash it, for example. So I was wondering, would this ever come up? It actually did come up, to be honest, because in certain grind scenarios, and especially there were games where you don't see any Brandon, you just see the water engine. If you can get any dark on board, I think in the case it was like a comedy or I tried to just normal summon it and go dark, and I think I summoned his Foxy Ogre Dance and just kept attacking, and knowing that, look, if he beats over the dark, he was kind of top decking to it in the degree, if he beats over the dark, I've got my Aluba and I've got follow up next turn. So that was really good.
Cool.
Again, only come up one match though. So again, I mean, you could argue, do you want to run like Relinquish Anima, Link Rebo in case you want a normal summon comedy? Something's Grave, then you branded Red's Live, but I mean, at that point, it's what it is. Again, very niche scenarios. They're all going to come up to some degree eventually.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's the list really. I did think perform well. I'm glad I really put the Brave engine. I feel like going forward, it is probably the better engine just because you want another layer of play. But yeah, I'll quickly talk about matchups and kind of we'll go from there. I mean, it was UK Nationals. I think it was aimed at 50 people, so it wasn't. I was expecting a lot of Despia and a lot of Sword, so that's kind of what I wanted to build my deck, and potentially a lot of Punk. And my most represented deck was Punk, but I didn't play a single Sword, so I only played one Despia.
Wow.
So I don't know if my matchups were a bit weird in that sense, but I guess I was, in a weird way, sometimes this deck struggles more against the rogue kind of style decks. I don't think the deck's good into back row decks at all.
Yeah.
I mean, the Brave stuff does help in that sense, and that's one of the other utilities of it. But if they've got Gozen, Rivalry, Skill Drain, all the kind of floodgates are, well, you're most likely losing that game.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so round 1 it's spellbooks, 6 card spellbooks, which is like kind of win the turbo effectively. Round 2 Dynamorphia. Round 3 Plant Link. That was one of my losses. I went 8-2 in Swiss, by the way.
Oh wow. Okay.
Round 4 Ignista. Round 5 Punk Adventure. Round 6 Salad. Round 7 60 card Eldritch. Round 8 and 9 both Punk Adventure, and round 10 at Ignista.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, just not kind of the matchup that I initially expected to do. And then we went top 64, played against Despia. Top 32 was Thunder, and I lost top 16 against Punk Adventure.
Wow. Okay. So you had a pretty varied field, actually.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because there was kind of a lot of different decks that I played, whereas I know other people they just played like mainly Sword Soul or mainly Despia or mainly Punk Adventure.
Yeah.
But I feel like this deck's actually got quite a good Punk Adventure matchup, to be honest. Because it can play around Scythe pretty nicely. Like I said, if you just add like the fusion, obviously with return priority, and then you got the brand new red, the brand new banishment set.
Yeah.
Things with the Punk, they've got no real grind. There's no grind at all.
Yeah.
And obviously the way they killed them is access, and you're never afraid of access because of Masquerade, because of banishment. You can just fuse it off straight away.
Yeah.
So, and you're never going to die with the Masquerade effect in Graveyard to bring it back.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
So-
you got that to float straight away. That's a good point.
Yeah. And obviously, and also Corollis, if you do summon that, you just make everything 0. Yeah, they pop it, that's fine, but you get 4 of Albus, and you just go for a Jade. So, like, you're not really afraid of access in that sense. Just don't get me wrong, you do lose to access if you can't save yourself, like anything, but yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's about it, really.
So no, really good job, bro. So then I guess the next question would be: do you see yourself staying with this deck? Do you see yourself moving on to another one? What's your opinions?
It's tricky because I think the deck was good. I didn't think it was honestly. I didn't think it was the best deck for the format or for the event. I think the Punk Adventure was probably the best, but I didn't have as much time to test that out or theory it as much, and so I just went with what I knew and how to play. And I guess it goes to show that sometimes you don't need to play the best deck. You just need to play the deck that you know the best, and you can play comfortably.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think moving forward, we'd like to test the Punk Adventure deck out. Just to feel that, like, because I mean, I think Chaos Rule is really good.
Yeah.
1,000,000 is broken. And then,
$1,000,000
I mean,
plus a
the
reborn.
games that I lost to,
Yeah.
Plant Link was round 3, but you opened up full combo, and Discard Turn Collector from a right package, and I had a hand trap, so I mean, you can't really beat that.
Yeah. Was that
And then
Alex or
round
was that
7.
another player?
No, another player.
Okay.
It wasn't Alex. And then round 7, which was my other loss in Swiss, was 6-card Outlich. I think he milled Water,
Yeah.
Conquest or Sanguine. So he got his whole right package off the Chaos Ruler going, and then also the whole Outlich package going off the 1 mil. And it's just like you're just losing those games.
Yeah, I
There's
think
nothing you can do about it, really.
yeah, that Synchro Eldritch deck I think is probably one of the best value decks off of Chaos
Yeah,
Ruler.
yeah.
So many
I
good
just
cards
feel-
to put in the grave.
The only problem with the single cards, the kind of 60 card Punk or kind of 60 card Outlich decks is like they run so many engines that there's going to be hands where unless you get to that Chaos Ruler, the engines don't really mesh that well.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you can stop the Chaos Ruler, the Imperms, the Veiler, all that kind of stuff, or kind of just, you know, they're going to, if they're running the Punk, you know, the DNO is going to get into to that. So you just banish the DNO, it doesn't trigger, all that kind of stuff, really.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the main
like way to kind of get their deck going.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to know kind of certain matchups. But I think it still would be common just because if you don't have the hand traps and if you can mill broke, which most likely do because they're playing quite consistent lists, you're just going to win because of that. But I think the way the deck, when I was playing against it, the way I lost was they turn one, Cyclock you, try and stop you, and then they're going into their next turn to try and kill you as quick as possible. And that's how quick Yugo is at the moment, really. So, yeah, that'll probably be the deck moving forward. But again, it depends on the format, all that kind of stuff, really.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, and so then I guess lastly, then, have you got any shout outs or anyone you want to give a quick call out to?
Any shout outs? Yeah, a few shout outs. Obviously, everyone that came down. Obviously, yourself, Simeon, Ahmad, Alex, Adam, Jack, Kojin, Liam, Kieran, all the guys that tested with and kind of helped me the deck. Shout out to obviously Adam, Alex for giving me the Brave stuff because I actually traded off my rights a few weeks ago because I thought I was never going to play it, and then last minute changed. So obviously without them, I probably wouldn't have played it.
Wow.
That was good. Shout out to everyone from Birmingham, obviously for the support. And they all kind of cheered me on. I'm happy with the success of top 16, which is good. Shout out to obviously the locals, Eddie's, Griffith's Gaming, Dan's Game HQ. And shout out to my girlfriend Charlotte for letting me test for letting me play. I wouldn't say a lot, but obviously I think for an event you've got to put time in to a degree and kind of know matchups and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I was grateful for that. But apart from that, if I miss them off, I think you do.
And there'll be someone later who'll message me. I can't believe you forgot me.
All right, sorry. When you're on the spot.
no, really awesome job, dude. Yeah, like I said, I think top 16 is an insane achievement. So yeah, good job, definitely well deserved. You definitely know the deck very well. So yeah,
thank you.
And as you said, I think we might be seeing you at Euros, right?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is letting me play for Euros, but I would like to go, especially I think with the kind of COVID drought. And obviously, this being in the first Nats in 3 years, it was a good event, and I think everyone enjoyed it. Everyone being there, playing Yugo again. So hopefully, Euros gets announced and we can kind of go. Yeah, have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. So that'll be pretty awesome. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll see you do some awesome results there as well. But yeah, for now, that is pretty awesome. So guys, thank you all for watching. And I'll talk to you all later. Peace.